Albert Einstein's incredible legacy. And while Einstein redefined our understanding of the universe, perhaps his greatest contribution to mankind is still to come: time travel.
It's Einstein's special theory of relativity, the speed of light, and the general theory of relativity, which allows for the real possibility of time travel.
Have you ever found something that makes you question everything you know about history? Well, imagine finding an object from the future, some dating thousands of years. The images have shocked experts for years, from ancient fossils to modern smartphones. To show you that this is not science fiction, we have compiled pictures of 15 real-life objects that prove that time travel exists. Swiss watch ring found in China. Imagine stumbling across an ancient tomb that has been untouched for centuries, and within it, a treasure that leaves historians clueless. That's exactly what happened when archaeologists found this Swiss watch ring inside a tomb in China. The shocking part is that the tomb is over 400 years old. Now, you might think, how could this be possible? But that's what makes this find so interesting. The ring was discovered among the remains of a woman buried during the Ming Dynasty. Scientists, historians, and other curious minds were all shocked. Was this a piece of advanced technology from a future that somehow made its way back in time? What other secrets might the past be hiding? Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started. The Expected One painting.
So this painting is by the Austrian painter Ferdinand Georg Waldmüller, and it's a classic genre painting that shows an amorous young man waiting with a flower for the young lady who he is clearly in love with.
This painting is The Expected One by Ferdinand Waldmüller, painted in 1860, but something about it makes your heart race. In the artwork, a woman stands under a tree holding a letter. She's gazing into the distance, and her expression is worried. But the twist. The letter in her hand bears the date of a future event that hadn't even happened yet. The painting's peaceful atmosphere gives no hint of the mystery it holds, but experts have long pointed out that the letter could be a message about the future. It was written in a way that matches dates from years later, as though Waldmüller knew something about this woman's life that hadn't occurred yet. Umberto Romano Mural. In the 1930s, no one even dreamt about smartphones. But look at this vibrant mural painted by the Italian-American artist Umberto Romano in 1937. He called it Mr. Pynchon and the Settling of Springfield, and it is packed with historical details about early America. But one figure stands out. This Native American holding what looks suspiciously like a modern smartphone. You can almost hear the whispers of disbelief as visitors examine this peculiar detail. The man in question sits calmly among a crowd, gazing intently at a rectangular object in his hand. Just like we stare at our phones today, scrolling through timelines or reading messages. Of course, in 1937, such technology didn't exist, so what is it? A mirror? Or something more mysterious? 1911 mill worker photo. This picture takes us back to 1911. It was the Industrial Revolution age, and a row of workers, mostly women and children, were leaving the factory after a long day. But there's one figure in the crowd who steals the show. We are talking about the young woman walking with a faint smile, holding something in her hands that looks familiar to our modern eyes. At first glance, it seems like she's having a smartphone. Of course, in 1911, the closest thing to a portable device was probably a book or a small parcel. So what's the explanation? Some say it could be a compact mirror or a small notepad, but for time travel believers, she probably carried technology from the future. If that amazed you, then wait for what comes next. 1939, photo of Jay-Z.
The style, the pose, it just screams Jay-Z. The photo dates back to 1939 and was taken by Sid Grossman in Harlem. The censor doesn't know the identity of the Hova lookalike, but wonders if there's a relation to the rapper. But Jay isn't the first celebrity to have a doppelganger from the past.
In 1939, a photograph taken in Harlem shows this man leaning casually against a building. His style screams the 1930s, but his face? Well, it looks shockingly like none other than Jay-Z. The resemblance is perfect. From the shape of his face to the confident expression, it's as if someone plucked the rapper and mogul from our time and dropped him into the Harlem period. Naturally, the internet went wild. with theories ranging from doppelgangers to, you guessed it, time travel. Some people claim it's just a random lookalike, man resembling Eddie Murphy. A vintage photograph was posted recently, showing a man sitting on what looks like a stool in the 1920s. He had slicked back hair, a sharp suit, and a confident smile that made him stand out in the crowd. But here's the kicker. He looks just like Eddie Murphy. Seriously, the resemblance is almost too perfect. His facial features and his grin. The internet, of course, went into overdrive. Was this proof that Eddie Murphy had secretly cracked the code to time travel? Or maybe he's a time-traveling comedian perfecting his craft across centuries? According to some people, humans have been finding doppelgangers throughout history. But this one feels different. It's not just the likeness, it's the vibe. Photo of man resembling Vladimir Putin. This black and white image shows a stern-faced soldier in classic early 20th century attire. The eyes, the expression, and the facial structure match that of the Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Some have jokingly suggested that Putin might be a time traveler, traveling through history for reasons only he knows. Others argue it could be evidence of reincarnation, or could this be an elective of the Russian leader? Whatever the truth, it's hard to shake the feeling that this resemblance is more than mere coincidence. History does have a funny way of playing tricks on us, doesn't it? London Hammer. In 1936, a couple hiking near London, Texas, stumbled upon a rock with a wooden handle sticking out of it. They took it home and years later cracked it open. Inside was a perfectly preserved hammerhead encased in stone. What makes this so special? The rock surrounding the hammer was estimated to be over 100 million years old. How could a human-made tool, clearly modern in design, be hidden in rock that supposedly formed long before humans even existed? Perhaps someone misplaced this hammer while visiting the distant past. 1,500-year-old sneakers. In 2016, archaeologists found a burial site high in the Altai Mountains of Mongolia. Among the treasures was something that left everyone completely speechless, a pair of boots that looked like modern sneakers. It has a contemporary striped pattern, but the shoes belong to a woman buried over 1,500 years ago. Talk about ancient style that could rival any modern fashionista. How could a modern boot be buried almost 2,000 years ago? In the session, let us know if you have any ideas, and let us know before we continue. The next picture on our list is disturbing. Keep watching to find out. Portrait of a Boy by Ferdinand Boll. Ferdinand Boll's Portrait of a Boy was painted in 1652. It might look like another classic artwork, but the picture packs more mystery. The boy is dressed in formal 17th century attire, full of innocence and charm, but look closer at his feet, and you'll notice something extraordinary. His shoes are like modern Nike sneakers. Yes, the swooping design and the shape. How does a 17th century Dutch boy end up rocking kicks that wouldn't hit shelves for another 3 centuries? Some argue it's a coincidence, an overlap of design elements through the ages. After all, shoes are practical, and their evolution could follow similar lines across eras. But what if it was a time traveler influencing trends, or leaving us some history? However, some experts who examined the painting suggested that the shoes might be decorative, but it's hard not to think about it. What if the boy knew something we didn't? The circus, behind the scenes. This picture is from the behind-the-scenes footage from Charlie Chaplin's 1928 classic, The Circus. In one scene, a woman walks past the camera, chatting away while holding something to her ear. This looks like a cell phone, but wait, cell phones in 1928? Medical professionals who examined it believed she had a simple hearing aid, which was common at the time. One could also argue that she was shielding her face from the sun or cold, but for believers in the extraordinary, this moment is too curious to dismiss. Was she a visitor from the future who was accidentally caught on film? Or perhaps it's just a coincidence. Whatever the truth is, we may never agree with what she was holding. Let's move from the golden age of Hollywood to a curious relic buried in ancient soil, carving on the new cathedral. If you ever wander through the grand streets of Salamanca, Spain, don't miss the new cathedral. But in the middle of its ornate carvings of mythical creatures, saints, and symbols, there's a peculiar figure that seems like an astronaut, complete with a suit, helmet, and boots. Here is the catch. How did a space explorer end up in a cathedral built in the 16th century? The story behind this mysterious carving is interesting. When the cathedral underwent restoration in 1992, the craftsman responsible for the updates decided to add the astronaut. According to him, the astronaut was his way of linking the past with the future, symbolizing our progress in space exploration and technology. While the explanation feels logical, imagine the reactions of future visitors who stumble upon it without the background knowledge. Speaking of blending mystery with reality, our next picture travels into the depths of time, and no one can simply explain it. Soldier dabbing during World War II.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into a picture getting some buzz. It claims to show a soldier doing the world's first dab way back in 1932. The dabbing dance move became a viral phenomenon in 2015.
World War II photographs usually bring to mind pictures of brave soldiers, but now and then, a photo surfaces that leaves everyone in shock. The image you are staring at shows a soldier in a mid-dab. Remember that the dance move only came to be in the 21st century. You can't help but ask, was this soldier ahead of his time, or is something else at play? See his arm bent and the other extended in the dab pose. If you think this is strange, the next story will challenge your sense of time and place. Let's talk about a story that blends ancient art and modernity. Carl Weingartner sculpture. Friends were walking through a museum when something caught their attention. It was a small, rectangular sculpture. As they get closer, it looks just like a cell phone, but it's covered in ancient cuneiform writing. Seriously, how do you even explain that? This sculpture is called the ancient cell phone, but here's the truth. The sculpture was not dug up from some ancient ruins. It's the work of Carl Weingartner, a modern artist who wanted to mix old-world charm with modern-day tech. He created it as a playful, thought-provoking piece, but nobody could stop the rumors once the internet accessed it. Of course, Carl himself has said it's just art, but that hasn't stopped people from spreading the rumors. And honestly, who can blame them? There's something magical about the idea of a future colliding with the past. Speaking of mind-blowing mysteries, wait until you hear about another strange piece of history that has left everyone speechless. It is even harder to explain. Christopher Lock's Modern Fossils. This piece looks like a fossil. Surprisingly, it is not an ancient bone or a seashell. No, this fossil has the shape of an old Nokia phone. Yes, the indestructible legend is hidden in rock like it's been buried since the beginning of time. Crazy, right? This peculiar artifact comes from Christopher Lock's Modern Fossils exhibit. He is trying to show us how our everyday gadgets might one day become relics of the past. Lock's collection includes other fossilized items, such as cassette tapes and game controllers, you name it. They are all made to look like they've survived millions of years. It's part art, part satire, and a sharp reminder of how disposable our tech is. But here's where things get fun. Some people have taken these pieces and spun their own stories. Don't be surprised when people call this a remnant of a previous advanced civilization. Some sources have even claimed that time travelers left them behind. Of course, Locke insists it's just art, but that doesn't stop the imagination from running wild. This ice shelf, extending from the continent's edge into the Ross Sea, presented both a stunning natural marvel and a formidable obstacle to further exploration. Ross's observations of the ice shelf were pioneering in the field of glaciology, offering the first scientific insights into the origins of the tabular icebergs populating the Southern Ocean. The team's biological discoveries were equally significant, including the identification of the Ross seal, a species unique to the Antarctic pack ice. This discovery highlighted the region's ecological uniqueness and contributed to our understanding of the Antarctic ecosystem. The expedition's zoological observations laid the groundwork for Antarctic biological science, and Hooker's work on the flora of Antarctica remains an influential contribution to the field. The first aircraft exploration, by Admiral Richard Byrd's expeditions to Antarctica, marked a significant milestone in the history of exploration. Born in 1888, Byrd was a naval officer and explorer who had a passion for discovering the unknown. His adventures to Antarctica were characterized by innovation, bravery, and meticulous planning. In 1928, Byrd organized an expedition to Antarctica, which was revolutionary for its time. He used 2 ships, the City of New York and the Elena, and an ensemble of aircraft, including the Floyd Bennett, Stars and Stripes, and the Virginia, to reach the continent. This was the first time aircraft were used in Antarctic exploration, and it marked the beginning of a new era in polar exploration. But that's not all. Wait until you see what happens next. Byrd's team established a base camp on the Ross Ice Shelf, which they named Little America. From here, they conducted extensive research and exploration, including the first ever flight over the South Pole on November 29, 1929.
November 28, 1929, Commander Richard E. Byrd and his crew flew from the Antarctic base camp Little America to become the first men to fly over the South Pole.
Byrd's contributions to Antarctic exploration went beyond mere discovery. He was a visionary who understood the implications of his discoveries for military strategy, science, and international relations. He recognized the strategic importance of Antarctica and its potential for scientific research, and he worked tirelessly to promote the continent's exploration and conservation. Operation Highjump, which took place from 1946 to 1947, was another highlight of Byrd's career. The operation involved 4,700 men, 13 ships, including an aircraft carrier, and 25 airplanes. The objectives of the operation were to train personnel and test equipment in frigid conditions, determine the feasibility of establishing and maintaining bases in Antarctica, develop techniques for establishing air bases on ice, and amplify existing knowledge of the area's electromagnetic, geological, geographic, hydrographic, and meteorological conditions. The operation was successful, and the team mapped and photographed 537,000 square miles of the Antarctic continent. The team also returned with 49,000 photographs. However, there were 3 fatalities during the operation. Aviation radio men Wendell K. Henderson, Frederick W. Williams, and Ensign Maxwell A. Lopez were killed when their plane crashed during a blizzard. The surviving 6 crew members were rescued 13 days later. This expedition was the largest Antarctic expedition to date, and it demonstrated the United States' capabilities in the region. Byrd's leadership and vision helped to establish Antarctica as a new frontier for research and geopolitical interest. Byrd's career was marked by both achievements and controversies. One of the most notable controversies surrounded his claim to have flown over the North Pole on May 9, 1926, along with Floyd Bennett. Some experts have questioned this claim, citing that Byrd's Fokker trimotor plane was too slow to cover the distance from Spitsbergen to the pole and back in the time the plane was out of sight. Byrd's rapid promotion and public acclaim also earned him the resentment and jealousy of fellow officers whose own careers were stagnating in a time of peace and naval disarmament. Additionally, Byrd's later career was marked by paradoxes and contradictions, such as his emphasis on teamwork and sharing glory, but also his tendency to guard his teammates as expedition leader and reap personal accolades. Byrd's second expedition to the Antarctic, 1933-35, was devoted strictly to exploration and science, but it ended in disaster when he was poisoned by a poorly vented stove and faulty gasoline-powered generator and had to be rescued by his own men. These controversies reflect the complexities and contradictions of Byrd's personality and the times in which he lived. There was no law guiding exploration in Antarctica, so Byrd could act in any way he chose. The introduction of the Antarctic Treaty. The Antarctic Treaty is an international agreement that has preserved the Antarctic continent for peaceful purposes and scientific research. Signed in 1959 by 12 nations,
Australia claims 40% of Antarctic territory. On the 1st of December 1959, it was among 12 countries to sign the Antarctic Treaty.
The treaty has since grown to include 56 signatory nations and has become a symbol of international cooperation and environmental protection. In the mid-20th century, Antarctica was a focus of international interest due to its unexplored landscapes and potential strategic importance amidst the Cold War's ideological divides. The Antarctic Treaty emerged as a beacon of cooperation, inspired by the success of the International Geophysical Year, IGY, from 1957 to 1958. During this period, scientists from 12 nations collaborated in Antarctica, setting the stage for a treaty that would ensure the continent remained a place for peaceful activities and scientific discovery. The treaty's primary aim was to demilitarize the Antarctic continent, banning nuclear tests and the disposal of radioactive waste, and establishing Antarctica as a zone for peaceful purposes only. This vision was both bold and necessary, carving out a sanctuary for science in a world bristling with military competition. Under the treaty, the sovereignty claims of 7 countries, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, Norway, Chile, and Argentina, were essentially put on ice. These claims, some overlapping, threatened to sow discord in a region that had become a symbol of international scientific collaboration. The treaty cleverly navigated these contentious waters by neither recognizing nor disputing these claims, ensuring that Antarctica's governance remained above national ambitions. The treaty also laid down principles for scientific cooperation, echoing the collaborative spirit of the IGY. It mandated the free exchange of scientific plans, observations, and results, and encouraged the exchange of scientists among expeditions. This open-door policy has led to significant advancements in our understanding of not just Antarctica, but Earth's climate and ecosystems. Article 4 of the treaty played an important role in maintaining peace, stating that no activities, whether exploration or research, would constitute a basis for a territorial claim. This clause, along with the prohibition of military activities, nuclear tests, and waste disposal, has kept Antarctica as one of the last frontiers free from the scars of human conflict. The Antarctic Treaty was not just a diplomatic triumph, but a milestone in environmental protection. By restricting human activity to scientific research and ensuring that such research does not harm the continent's ecosystem, the treaty acknowledged the value of preserving such a pristine environment. This foresight has allowed Antarctica to serve as a barometer for global environmental health, providing critical data on climate change. So how did this treaty work to impact Antarctica? The treaty has evolved since its implementation in 1961, responding to new challenges and scientific advances. The consultative meetings, a platform for the treaty's parties to discuss and plan Antarctic governance and research, have become vital in ensuring that the continent's management adapts to changing times. The treaty's indefinite duration underscores the world's long-term commitment to maintaining Antarctica as a haven for peace and science. The Antarctic Treaty serves as a reminder of the value of exploration for knowledge's sake and the significance of preserving the last unexplored regions of the world. In an era where resource or strategic advantage is frequently the driving force behind exploration, this extraordinary example of international cooperation reflects the broader goals of the United Nations, established to promote peace, security, and cooperation among nations. The treaty continues to inspire global cooperation in facing the world's most pressing challenges, from climate change to conservation.
In Antarctica, to test a new drone that will help experts forecast the impact of climate change. The device will enable researchers to access parts of the continent that were previously out of bounds because of the harsh weather conditions.
Reinforcing the message that our most significant achievements come from working together to protect and cherish the planet's most vulnerable and valuable regions for future generations. Orlando Ferguson's theory about Antarctica. Our revelations about the mysteries of Antarctica lead us to Orlando Ferguson's theory, which he presented in his 1893 Map of the Square and Stationary Earth. It proposed a revolutionary idea that challenged the scientific consensus of the time. Ferguson, born in 1845 in Madison, Wisconsin, was deeply influenced by biblical cosmology and believed that the Earth was flat and square-shaped, centered around the North Pole. His map was a visual representation of this concept, accompanied by biblical quotations that supported his claims. Ferguson's theory was not just about the physical shape of the Earth, but was tied to a deeper spiritual understanding. He saw the Earth's design, as revealed through Scripture, as a testament to the truth and supremacy of the Christian faith. One of the key aspects of Ferguson's theory was his interpretation of the Book of Job, where the complexity and divine origin of the Earth's creation are highlighted. He pointed to the limitations of human understanding in the face of God's design, emphasizing the importance of aligning one's life and beliefs with the biblical depiction of the Earth's structure. Ferguson's theory also extended to the Book of Revelation, where the imagery of 4 angels standing at the corners of the Earth, controlling the winds, further supported his flat Earth model. He interpreted these passages as literal evidence that the spherical Earth model was false, arguing that these celestial beings' roles and positions reinforced the idea of the Earth's flatness and its divinely defined boundaries. Ferguson's theory also has an interesting connection to the mysteries of Antarctica. The idea of a flat and square-shaped Earth, centered around the North Pole, raises intriguing questions about the geography and exploration of Antarctica. If we consider Ferguson's theory in the context of Antarctica, we can see that his idea of a flat Earth with divinely defined boundaries challenges our conventional understanding of the continent's shape and size. The notion of a square-shaped Earth, with the North Pole at its center, would mean that Antarctica is not a frozen continent at the bottom of the globe, but rather a region at the edge of the flat Earth. Ferguson's emphasis on the importance of aligning one's life and beliefs with the biblical depiction of the Earth's structure raises questions about the spiritual significance of Antarctica. If we consider the continent as a region at the edge of the flat Earth, we may see it as a place of spiritual significance, a boundary between the known and unknown, the physical and metaphysical. The creation of Operation Dominic and Fishbowl in Antarctica. When we speak of biblical beliefs in relation to creation, we have seen several attempts by humans to uncover the mysteries of the universe. One of such attempts was the creation of Operation Dominic and Fishbowl. Operation Dominic and Fishbowl were a series of nuclear tests conducted by the United States in 1962, comprising 31 explosions over the Pacific with a total yield of 38.1 megatons. This operation was a response to the Soviet Union ending a 3-year moratorium on nuclear testing and aimed to investigate weapon effects and the reliability of existing arsenals. The tests, particularly the high-altitude ones, probed the nature of the firmament, echoing biblical descriptions of a structured cosmos with a firm, dome-like sky stretching over a flat Earth. The operation consisted of detonating nuclear bombs from B-52 bombers and Thor missiles, exploring the impact of nuclear blasts on communication systems and the Earth's magnetic field. Inadvertently, the tests also examined the resilience of the firmament against man-made firestorms. Operation Dominic and Fishbowl symbolize humanity's relentless quest to understand and manipulate the natural world, even as they confront the divine architecture proposed in Scripture. The juxtaposition of the biblical foundation of Earth and the celestial sphere with the explosive endeavors of Operation Dominic invites reflection on the nature of creation, human ambition, and the limits of our understanding. The mysteries of Antarctica. Now, let's look into the mysteries of Antarctica, a continent where mysteries are as abundant as the ice. This vast, frozen land has long been a subject of fascination and speculation, not just for its extreme conditions and scientific puzzles, but also for the diverse legends, theories, and conspiracies that surround it. One of the most visually striking phenomena is the Blood Falls, a 5-story crimson waterfall that seeps from the Taylor Glacier into Lake Bonny. The source of this waterfall is a subglacial pool trapped beneath the glacier for millions of years, rich in iron and devoid of oxygen, which gushes forth, rusting upon contact with air to create the waterfall's distinctive red color. Another discovery is the Ross Ice Shelf. It is a massive ice plain, as big as France. The wind blowing across the snow dunes creates a strange and haunting sound, like a scary melody. These vibrations, inaudible to the human ear but captured by seismic sensors, have become a novel tool for scientists monitoring the stability of the ice shelf. Antarctica's mysteries extend below the surface to hidden lakes and mountain ranges enveloped in ice. Lake Vostok, buried under kilometers of ice.
Now, it's one of the world's largest lakes, but the chances are you've never heard of it. Lake Vostok lies 2.5 miles beneath the ice of Antarctica. It's been sealed off from the outside world completely for more than 14 million years.
And the Gamburtsev Mountains are testaments to the world that thrives in secrecy beneath the ice cap. Antarctica's mystery deepens with tales of lost civilizations and extraterrestrial visitations. Theories of ancient warm climate cities buried under the ice, along with rumors of alien bases and Nazi hideouts, fuel the imagination and debate. While most of these stories lack scientific backing, they highlight our interest in finding the extraordinary in the planet's most remote corners. Some claims even suggest that beyond the ice wall of Antarctica, there are mysterious creatures that inhabit the frozen wilderness, hidden from humanity's eyes. These beings are said to possess strange abilities, while others believe they might be remnants of a forgotten era. Their true nature is a mystery, leaving those who hear about them to wonder what secrets lie in the unexplored regions of our planet. As you can see, there is more to Antarctica than its cold temperature and iced floors. What do you think about the discoveries made in Antarctica? Drop your thoughts in the comment section.